Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Liran. How are you?
Good. So here's another recording between me. I'm Liran, the founder of Yoko Village, and Kristen, one of the members. Kristen, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what do you do, how all this got to be?
Sure. I am originally from the Atlanta area, and I am a mom of a 1.5-year-old girl, and my partner Jason and I we've been working online for probably about 7 years together, and we've been traveling a lot and worn a bunch of different hats. I've mostly been a digital marketer and content writer. And we also have some property investments as well. Um,
Awesome. So,
yeah,
do you consider yourself location independent?
um, not exactly. We kind of travel part time. For the last 6 or 7 years, we were doing about 50% of our time traveling and 50% of our time at a home base. Now that we have a daughter, we're spending a little bit more time at a home base and doing kind of shorter term travel up to maybe 6 weeks at a time instead of 4 months at a time. Um, but yeah, I'd say we still travel probably 30% of our time. And we're based
Awesome.
out of Playa del Carmen these days instead of Atlanta.
Right. That's very cool. I saw you here in Costa Rica and also in other places in the world already. So I feel like we really know each other. The idea of this video is just to have a conversation and uh, discover a little bit more about you. Why do you love Costa Rica so much? Maybe you want to start with that.
So, one of the things that I really love about Costa Rica that I didn't expect on my first visit was uh, A, all the natural beauty, but B was the culture. Been to a lot of different places, and I feel like Costa Rica just has the friendliest culture that I've experienced. So, like an example was when we were in RNL, we did this night tour to go and see the frogs up on volcano, and the weather was pretty bad. It was like lightning, and we were doing it anyways. And we ended up sitting, waiting for the rain to stop. I was asked to do this my whole life. My whole life, I've been passionate about sharing frogs with other people and conserving all these different species and about these natural places where they live, and it's just my life's work. And I was really amazed because I've never heard any kind of a tour guide give a reason like that for why they're doing what they do. And that was really my first experience with the culture of really just everybody seems to want to share all this natural beauty and protect it, and I just haven't seen anything like it anywhere else.
I guess people from Costa Rica are really special and really care and sharing more. That's I find that as well, and also more inviting and accepting foreigners more than any other country I've visited, at least. I like the frog story. Um, Passionate people. I mean, you're a mom, right? And you must be thinking about your little girl in terms of like what about schooling here? How do you see life connect with as a family with coming down here? How do you see your life here in the future?
Yeah, so she's not in school yet, but we are kind of thinking about what we want. And we've always known that we haven't really been interested in kind of traditional schooling where you're sitting at a desk writing in the lines. And seeing her personality, she just loves to be outside and just exploring flowers and bugs. And so we want to give her an educational opportunity that kind of includes some of those things that she's already so passionate about. And so we want to do some kind of alternative schooling, kind of down the world schooling path where we can take these trips and kind of learn as we go, but also to have a home base that she is able to kind of have a community of people that she knows, and more project-based learning. And I feel like every time I read about world schooling and project-based learning, like Costa Rica is always one of the places on the list of like at the forefront of this movement. And so I feel like that's a really great place to start if you want to, kind of go down that path that has already kind of been forged here, and that there's already kind of a community that is already doing these things. So yeah, it's the kind of thing I'd want to do with other families, and I think that this is the place to do it.
One of my dreams is, and that we sure do have the land, enough land to build this. Maybe one day build a school within Yoko. That would be personally my dream. And I guess I don't know if you remember this, but Yoko means sunshine child, and it's for all of us wanting or seeking new beginnings. And as a person who wasn't very connected with the education that I personally got, I can relate when I'm thinking about new children coming to the world and wanting to like have a different experience growing up. Like us adults, the kids also enjoy nature. When we would enjoy nature in the city underneath a lot of walls and concrete. Um, but over here, I guess this is so much more. It's all around you. It's like immersive. So that's a very interesting point. I'm curious what else made you like kind of choose Costa Rica or Yoko within Costa Rica? What was your experience looking into, the next thing? What did you find in Yoko and in Costa Rica that you couldn't find somewhere else, for example, in Playa Carmen?
Yeah, so we knew for a while that we did not want Atlanta to be our permanent home base. And we were kind of traveling around trying to decide exactly where we would want to have our home base. We had all these boxes we were trying to check on. Tried Thailand, we tried Colombia, spent a little bit of time in Europe, different places in the US, and there were a couple things that were really hard to find. So we're not really big city people. We don't really like, it's the noise, the pollution, just the busyness, and the traffic and all that is just not really our style. But at the same time, it was really important to us to have an entrepreneurial community, obviously really good internet since we're both working online and have a bunch of meetings. And, we've find places where there were digital nomads, people who were working online, but not necessarily a lot of entrepreneurs. And it was kind of hard to find like the small town kind of a feel and have that entrepreneurial community. And especially that wasn't just like seasonal or just like passing through and you meet somebody for a week. And we've been to Costa Rica a couple times, and every time we went, we were like, oh, if only there were an entrepreneurial community here, good internet, and we could just go surfing all the time. And it just, before we found Yoko, we didn't feel like that was an option. And then we found Yoko, and we were like, here's what we were looking for. It's not too far from our family in Atlanta to where we can come and go and visit them. We want warm weather. That's important to us. So we got that. We wanted to be somewhere that's safe, and has like a stable government so that we feel comfortable being there long term. And it's really helpful to be on the US time zones as well, because we have a lot of meetings. If we were in Thailand, it doesn't really work long term for us to be working in the middle of the night. So yeah, just all of those boxes that we felt like we had to compromise on before. It was like, well, now we have it all in one spot, and we have a great investment as well.
Tell me about that.
And the numbers were like,
because Santa Teresa is expensive, right? So, I mean,
it is,
land here
and
costs now more than in most places,
yeah.
But also the rentals, right? So, what do you think about that? I mean, you've been here, so you've been from the other side renting here, right? Whenever you're coming, and I remember when I was coming here, and before I had my home, it was tough to get a place, and it was very expensive. But I guess that's an upside as well.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the things that we were like, let's hold on and think about this because, it's not the most inexpensive place to buy property. And so we were considering, buying more property in Atlanta or maybe going to a couple of different places and kind of doing a little thing here, a little thing there. Um, but a lot of places are seasonal first, and a lot of places you really don't get that much for your rental versus what you pay. Like I know in Thailand the rent really isn't that substantial, so
Right.
we would have to get a bunch of places and then manage them all, and that just doesn't really work for us if we're not nearby, especially when we ran the numbers for Santa Teresa, we were like, well, this is beautiful. This could really work out well for us. We could live there for probably somewhere between like 3 and 6 months a year, still make really
Okay.
good money when we're not there. And I really liked that Yoko was going to help to manage the Airbnb for us because right now I'm
For a fee.
managing our other Airbnbs, and sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not perfect. You need somebody to take care of that stuff because when it's something's happening and somebody's calling me at 8 o'clock on a Saturday because there's a plumbing problem. I prefer not to be the individual that has those kind of items on my plate. So we knew when we were looking at investing in more properties that we would either need to put them all in one place and get a property manager, or figure out something to where I'm not the one that's kind of doing the day-to-day stuff on that.
Right. Yeah.
So that was one of the things that was just a really nice perk.
In Costa Rica, you have this law that if somebody would come and sit on your land and build something on it, then potentially they could take your land. And what I always think is a great advantage with Yoko is that we're a gated community. It's so much safer. Nobody's going to come there. We're there. It's not like you're buying something out of someone. This spot is just a few minutes from the beach. There's the most consistent waves. So the sport, the surfing as a sport is just always happening here, 365 days a year. And although September, October are rainy season, those are 2 months of the year. And some years they have we have a more difficult rainy season, but most of the years, from my experience, it's there is season here almost throughout the entire year. So I like all these points that you mentioned. Also, like in Thailand, you can rent a very fancy, huge house for not too expensive. And over here, it's just a lot more expensive, which also makes it great for the owners. And also you can own here. So you can own the title to your land. And that's also very meaningful. So these have been really, really great points, Kristen. Thank you for doing this. Before we go, do you want to maybe share anything else?
So one of the things that I really liked as well was that you guys had these beautiful floor plans that you could just choose a floor plan, maybe make some modifications, and that I really didn't have to think about too much else because I've done some construction projects in the past, and it always ends up being a major headache for me, more work than I expect. And I knew I didn't want to design my own house from scratch, but I also didn't really want to just pick something that was already built and like maybe not exactly what I wanted. But when I saw you guys had these beautiful floor plans already ready to go, I was like, let's just go with that. That's exactly what I wanted and didn't know. So that was a big positive in our decision making. That was just so easy to get exactly what we wanted without having to do a lot of legwork to make it happen.
Awesome. And also, we're not a cookie cutter, so once we get to brass task, and um, you would be able to modify the Yoko homes so you can adjust them to however you want it with the architect, and that's also it's a good point. Those are awesome good points. Thank you so much for doing this, for giving your time. And I'll see you in March in Yoko Connect, right?
Yeah, we're so excited. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Kristen.